Hey folks, it's Lazy Hiker. I'm at the Summit Lake Loops Trail in Lassen National Park. This is also known as the Cluster Lakes Loop. This is full loop, 11 miles. All these lakes to go through. Start here, gonna make a big circle around, and that'll be 11 miles. So let's get started. We start off on a boardwalk crossing a very marshy meadow. All these flowers everywhere. We start going very close to the Summit Lake campground, and obviously they're working today because it's noisy. Nice concentration of these flowers here. So Lassen Peak in front of us, and this view is worth the price of admission as it is. I scared some ducks off. Glad I'm not staying at that campground today. We're heading to Echo Lake. It's a uphill climb through this manzanita scrub. This scrub is all over the place in this park. Well, if you ever need to catch your breath, just turn around and that gives you a good excuse to do so. This is our second junction. The first junction pointed you toward Echo Lake, right by Summit Lake is where it was. This says we come 0.9 miles. We're going to go counterclockwise, so we're going to take a right here. 0.8 miles to Echo Lake. Here's Echo Lake. Pretty little lake. Had to walk up about a mile and then down about a mile to get here. At 3.7 miles we get to Upper Twin Lake. Very large lake. So we reached Lower Twin Lake at 4.2 miles, and you can barely see this lake from the other one if you look through the trees. The stream flows into this one, but it's dry right now. So I'm going to find a hammock spot somewhere along here. Take my first break. This is Lower Twin Lake from the other end. Breeze is coming down this way. Feels good. There's an overflow pond. This probably becomes a meadow later. So at the end of Lower Twin Lake, we get to this trail sign. This is the Pacific Crest Trail we're on now. You can come around Lower Twin Lake either side. You can go left or right. It's a little longer to go to the right. But now from here we're going left, and we got Feather Lake, Cluster Lake, Soap Lake. So let's get going. There's butterflies on these flowers all over the place. these butterflies here, this one has a, there's another one. Their wings look like bark on one side. It's pretty amazing. Can't tell when they're on a tree, you can barely see them. Traveling through a burned area now. That's one of the reasons there's so many wildflowers everywhere. You wander through wildflowers for about a mile. Very nice, even though there's not much shade, but very pretty. Alright, 6.3 miles. We are here at Feather Lake, surrounded by wildfire, so not the best place to stop. Alright, at Feather Lake we have a new flower, at least for me. Very small, kind of look like bluebells, but not exactly. About the same size. All over here. So this is the lake beyond Feather Lake. I don't recall the name. I'll try to put a title in there for you, but you can see Lassen Peak from here, which if there had not been a fire you would not be able to, because you can see the height of the trees and it would cover it. And yet another flower, I think this one is spirea or something like that, and if so, I've seen this one. It is extremely bright pink, purple, more like that down there. And another lake. The last lake was Silver Lake, and who knows what this one is. And we got more flowers. We just keep coming through flowers. It's almost 2 miles now of burnt forest and flower undergrowth. Just amazing. We come to another trail sign at 7.2 miles. We're gonna go left because Little Bear Lake is 1 mile, Summit Lake is 4.2 miles, and that's where we need to go. And then our trailhead is probably another 0.3 miles from there, so another 4.5 miles and we're done. So more like 11.5 miles, at least according to my GPS. Is what it'll be, unless things change. This is Big Bear Lake. Still going through burned forest. But there may be some relief. I see some greenery ahead. Maybe over that hill to Little Bear Lake. Little Bear Lake at 8.2 miles. Does have a few living trees around it. Looks like we're getting out of the Burn forest, and it's time for a break. I think this is the last lake we'll pass, except for passing Summit Lake once again. It's a pretty one. Trees surrounding it. Live trees. Alright folks, I've made the loop of the hike. The Cluster Lakes loop. The Summit Lakes loop. Whichever you want to call it. And we still have to go another mile. A little more. So it's going to be a total of 11.7 miles maybe, not 11. After doing this loop, I would recommend taking a left here, the first major point where this loop starts. Take a left instead of taking a right, because you'll get better lighting when you have chances to see Lassen Peak. Also, you'll go up a little bit more, get some of the up out of the way. And go through the burned area in the cooler part of the day, and be going down in the burned area instead of up in the burned area, which is hotter obviously because there's no shade. So definitely recommend going left here and coming back through Echo Lake. Alright, we're back at Summit Lake, and like I said, it's going to be 11.7 miles total for me, for my GPS apps say. Nice hike, not too heavily used. Some of the lakes become a little repetitious. They're all below tree line, so they're surrounded by trees. Some by burned trees, some not. The prettiest lakes for me were, of course, Summit Lake here. And you can see one reason you want to do this earlier in the day, because the lighting on the mountain right now is pretty bad. So this lake obviously it tops them, I think. And then there's Echo Lake, Lower Twin Lakes, and not Big Bear, but Little Bear Lake. So those are for me the pretty ones. As far as taking breaks, Echo Lake, Lower Twin Lakes, and Little Bear Lake again would be the places to take breaks at, I think. So that's my advice. Thanks for watching The Lazy Hiker, and enjoy your hike.